It's that time of the week again, guys, to go over the Forex pair pound yen, do a bit of a review, see what it actually did during the week, and try and develop a plan for the pair moving forward. As you know, guys, I like to do this every weekend, so if you're new to the channel, don't forget, smash that subscribe button, leave me a like if you're liking this kind of content, and leave me a comment, say hello, let me know what you think. The pair will do itself as well over time. As you know, guys, my name's David, Millionaire Incorporated, and I like to touch on topics on personal finance, wealth, self-development, and crypto. So let's actually just jump straight into this week's chart, guys. So as you can see, I've kind of left from last week the arrows, assuming what I would do, what I was hoping to see for the pair moving forward, and what it could potentially do moving forward, obviously. So I'll actually delete these. So allow in a second. So last week I was saying where it closed from, I was wanting to see how it was going to react to this price at that 153.5 area, which was a support area way back, maybe like a year or two ago. I'll actually go back and actually show you where I drew that line in from. Comes all the way back to around here. So you can see the price kind of struggled to, oh, bloody hell. I messed that up, didn't I? So price was all the way back here. So I'll actually zoom into that so you can see why I chose that area. So you can see how price kind of came up a few times, respected as a resistance, also respected as a support once or twice, and before it moved kind of lower. So that's why I had that area drawn. And you come back to this area here. So that's why I had that area just here, that 153.50. But I was also kind of watching this area just here of that 153.01. So I'm actually probably going to remove this one just here now because we don't need it, because a long time ago where we actually had that price action happening. So I want to try and keep it a bit more relevant, a bit more consistent with what's going on at the moment. So we're kind of now working off a few areas. So let's draw in some rays here. So kind of got like this area just here kind of thing. Let's see what it looks like on the line chart so you can get a better idea. So yeah, that looks about pretty accurate right there. So that's a good, neat little trick if you haven't actually ever used it before. When drawing in support and resistance lines or zones, look for areas on the candlestick chart where it's actually struggling to move past or higher or lower or whatever. And then to get a better idea of which price is actually working from, switch over to the line chart so you can actually draw it in and actually see a bit more clearly there. So yeah, so as I was saying, let's back up to the 4 hour again. Last week, it was struggling to kind of move past this area just here. And you can pretty much see it's actually directly in line where it actually stopped. So price stopped there, came up higher, and kind of just worked off this area just here where it kind of found a bit of support. So it's only a minor support there before moving lower. So I'll actually delete all this because we won't need that now, because as I said, I was kind of watching this area here to see if it's going to move high or if it's going to kind of break and move lower. And you can pretty much see it didn't actually do any of that. It kind of just stuck in this one area here. So yeah, so after it opened, came up higher, couldn't break past this area here, came into that resistance, and we'll jump down to the 1 hour so you can actually see what it did on the 1 hour and why it was actually a decent trade to take. So this is where it kind of came and had that resistance area. So just kind of came up, tried moving higher, just couldn't get that momentum to kind of keep moving higher, then exhausted finally before moving lower. So right here was probably where you would have taken your first trade, and it's actually where I actually took a very small position. Wasn't a long-term trade for that one, unfortunately. So it was pretty lackluster. I made like a couple pips from it because I wasn't 100% confident on it moving lower. So as we always say though, 40 pip stop loss, 80 pip take profit. That's 2-to-1 risk reward, because you, as always, you want at least 2-to-1 risk reward per trade, and you also want to only be risking 2% of your portfolio per trade at maximum. especially if you're a new beginner. And I'm going to go into a video about that when it comes to crypto trading, because I think a lot of people are getting caught out at the moment with trading because they get caught up in the hype and they make mistakes. But that's not here nor there. We're focusing on pound yen. So that's that 2-to-1 risk reward. And you can literally see it comes straight down into that area, into this area just here where it's kind of found a bit of a minor support. So let's go to the 4-hour and have a bit of a close look. You can see here, price kind of came all the way down, came to a bit of a halt at this area here, came up higher, moved lower afterwards, but then after it came back up again and respected this area here as well, it kind of came back in and found support in this area again before moving higher. So that was a good area to take profit at. So that's the other thing. You always want to look at areas like that to take profit where it's found support in the past or found resistance in the past as well. Beyond that, though, there weren't, I think, too many decent trades to take. You could have actually taken a buy off this area here as it failed to kind of break below that 153.10 kind of area. But in saying that, it wasn't very clean. It was quite messy. Price really struggled to find direction and it wasn't in let's actually draw let's do this here, horizontal line just there, just so we can kind of get an idea of if there's anything in the area previously as the price actually could have like seen for support or resistance. And you can see there's pretty much in no man's land where it's actually kind of moved off now. It had like a bit of minor support just here, but I wouldn't say enough for it to kind of justify that trade there. So delete that. But in saying that, what you can do is when you drop down to the lower time frames, you can see it kind of came down and started exhausting there. So you could have actually drawn a bit of a minor zone just here. Let's see, just want to check something here. As you can see here, it's like a little bit of kind of resistance, like support resistance, but like I said, it's in the middle of everything. It wasn't really that great to actually look for an area to kind of take a trade off, so I probably wouldn't have done so. So let's actually zoom back into this a bit more. So you can see, kind of failed to break below this area here, came back in, tested again, came back in, tried breaking below again, closed above. So you pretty much would have taken a trade. You could have taken a trade from this area just there as a buy. As I was saying at the start, this week was pretty messy. It wasn't really moving that much. It was lacking direction, lacking confidence in its movements. Because as I was saying, overall, it is still in a long-term uptrend. So you want to be trying to trade with the trend and watching for key zones to take trades from. So yeah, so that's that 2-to-1 risk reward again. And it kind of comes right back into this area just here, that 153.30 area. So pretty much bang in line with that again. So that's another 2 trades. That's 2 trades. That's 160 pips. That's almost 8% you could have made this week relatively easily from those 2 trades. And you can see it's moved pretty quickly from those areas. It moved with a fair amount of conviction to either higher or lower. And then you can see, yeah, that 153.40, 153.50 area wasn't a bad one. I was kind of watching this 153.60 area for support or exhaustion. So you can see it's actually done that again just here. And yeah, it hasn't really made too many moves after that, which were convincing enough for me to kind of take decent trades from for the rest of the week. It wasn't convincing enough. So I actually did take a trade off this one just here, but for 40 pips, it kind of came up, tried breaking above that 153.60 area, closed below. Then I actually took a trade from that. Because I did have a bit of a lower bias. Let's chuck in our details as we always do. So I do have like a bit of a bearish bias on GJ at the moment because I would like to see it do a decent retrace. Because we are on the daily, we did kind of create that high, low, higher high, But we'll need to see actually a break of this area just here, a convincing break as well of this area just here to confirm a downtrend. Delete that. So yeah, so it's kind of like a bit messy at the moment, but in looking at it on the daily, zooming into it a bit more, you can see it's kind of exhausting at the moment at this area, so could potentially continue moving lower over time. Let's just zoom into that. So this one here actually kind of took profit at the base of that one, at that 153.06 or 153.10 area. I wasn't convinced with how it was moving, and coming up to NFP, which is non-farm payroll, which is the employment data in the US. It's usually sometimes not a good time to be in the market and holding trades because it can move quite quickly, especially if they announce certain things or it's favorable, unfavorable. It does affect other pairs, which are outside of the US dollar as well. So yes, that's my kind of positioning on that. So really just those two trades were it for the week. So I'll just delete those now. And let's see what potentially could happen for the week moving forward. So like I said, we're kind of just working off those few areas at the moment. So on the daily time frame, this area just here, I'm actually going to delete. So let's expand this a bit. Just out of curiosity. So you could almost say it's kind of finding support at the peak of that candle just there, and it almost lines up with those areas just there as well. But nah, it's not a good one. So delete that. That's more so relevant for that kind of area just there. I'll delete this one as well because we don't need that anymore. This one still kind of holds relevant because you can see price came up, exhausted up here, came down, exhausted here, and before moving up higher. So we want to see a nice break of that, a clean break of that one there as well before continuing lower. So for the week ahead, as I said, we're kind of just in the middle of no man's land. So you're probably going to be taking a much smaller trades over time, during this time, kind of waiting to see if it does break above there or if it actually breaks below here. If it breaks below there, we're going to kind of see a nice retest of over here or this area here, like that's that zone there, before moving lower again down to this area here, which is probably the last area where I actually found decent support, or breaking a higher and kind of seeing how it works off. 1 second. And working off, seeing how it works off kind of this area here, the 154.07, 154.26, and yeah, so if that's if it kind of breaks above these highs here, so you're kind of just playing that watching game at the moment, watching to see how it actually reacts at those certain prices before taking trades. Now, with those trades I showed earlier on, let's back up to the 1 hour time frame again. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So where it actually exhausted here at the start of the week, you could have potentially even made that a slightly higher risk reward trade and had the stop loss set at that 154.30 area and that take profit down here as well, as I was saying, to that area just there, and that would have given you, let me zoom into it, 81 pips there, but only a 30 pip stop loss, so that's almost 3-to-1 risk reward, so that's actually even better. So if you can do your calculations for how much you're risking per trade, that's those Forex risk calculators. Yeah, you can just literally just Google that. I think it's on myfxbookpro.com where they have one. You can actually figure out exactly what position size you should use per trade, depending on how much leverage you got and how much capital you have in your account. You actually work out exactly what kind of position size you should take per trade. Sometimes you got to work pretty quickly when doing that because, as you know, the Forex market doesn't kind of wait for anybody. It does move, and sometimes it can move quite quickly. especially if it's at the opening times of the London or New York session. But anyway, guys, that's it for today's video. As always, if you found value in this content, smash that like button. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think the pair could do moving forward for the week. And also, to keep up to date with all my latest videos, hit the subscribe button and that bell notification, and you will get notified. And I will catch you guys again for more pound yen reviews next weekend. Cheers.